Welcome back, horror fans, to the Weird Kid Horror Show. I am your host, the Weird Kid. First of all, I want to apologize to you for taking so long for getting this next video out. I ended up getting a real nasty case of the flu, so I really wasn't able to get much done around here.
You don't do nothing around here even when you're not sick. All you do is eat, sleep, poop,
I
and play
told
video
you
games.
that I'm in training to become a game tester.
The only thing you're testing is my patience.
Anyways, so, Halloween. It's no surprise that Halloween is one of the biggest holidays of the year for a horror fan. I mean, it's the horror movies, the candy, the decorating. Awesome time of year. Unfortunately, Halloween only comes once a year. But for some, it's 365 days a year. Some people make their living off of Halloween. I want to introduce you to Alan Hops. Watching his videos, I was absolutely amazed the creativity and all of the tutorials that he had available for making monsters. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you after the interview. We are here with Alan Hops, owner, CEO of
Stiltbeast Studios.
Welcome to the Weird Kid Show.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to do this interview. So I wanted to just tell you how I found you. I hadn't seen any of your YouTube videos. I wasn't even aware. I did an interview with Ed Edmonds from Distortions Unlimited, and he mentioned your name and the fact that he said, you know, I probably should experiment more like Alan Hops.
And I probably should experiment much more like Alan Hops. He'll do all these experiments and figure out the best foam and the best silicone and all this stuff. Man, if I find something that works, I'm done.
Well, that prompted me to look you up and then watch your videos. And of course, immediately subscribe and hit the bell because I really enjoyed what I was seeing, you know. And looking at what you do, you are a mad scientist, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because you think outside the box and you take risks, it seems, and you're always experimenting with new mediums. Like I saw one video that you did where you used vinyl post foam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To fill masks and stuff. And I just think that's great. But before I get too ahead of myself, and I don't know how many interviews like you've done a lot in the past, but has anyone ever really pinned you down and went back to a very young Alan Hops? Let's say, I ask everyone the same question. Let's say 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
What were you doing? What influenced you? What were you watching, reading?
If you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I was 7, I probably would have said a gorilla.
A gorilla?
Because, you know, that was what before I understood jobs and things, that, you know, big hairy thing, that appealed to me. I've always been a monster fan. You know, I was a monster kid like everybody. I think a lot of the times it starts as dinosaurs. You know, you love dinosaurs because they're, you know, those are acceptable monsters because they're real. And then it moves on, you know, as you get older and you're allowed to watch horror movies or whatever, you enjoy those. But yeah, I mean, I loved monsters from a very, very young age. And it was either 2nd or 3rd grade, I was asked to design, one of the class projects was to design a theme park.
Okay.
And I made Monster World.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, and every big, like, Universal monster kind of had its own attraction or whatever. And the road that went all the way around it, you know, because I guess even at that age, I mean, it was a sound layout for a theme park. You know, there was one road that went all the way around, and that was Dracula Drive. And all, you know, all the roads had monster names.
That's All right.
Dangers of Hotel.
I might even leave that in. I don't know.
Dracula Drive went all the way around it, and just Wolfman Way was another street. It would, it's just that I've always loved monsters, always.
So was it the normal, like what, Universal Monsters, stuff like that, Hammer horror films? That was all. Where you're in Texas, but you're from Baltimore, correct?
I was raised in Maryland, the Baltimore area.
Okay, and so I think they did not have, it was Creature Feature. Was there a local?
They did. We had Count Gore Duvall as our horror host.
Okay. Okay.
And that was also the prime years of USA Up All Night with with all those horror movies. So there was, that was and that's a part of growing up. You'd want to watch those horror movies and ask to stay up, and it was fun. I guess I was scared a bit as a kid, and if I could make the monsters my friend, then I wouldn't be as scared. I did haunted houses from the age of 10. One came in near my grandmother's house, and I went down, and so at 10 years old, I worked my first haunted house.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't ever missed a season. But the golden moment was in 1993, when it was either 92 or 93. When I went to Chiller Theater Horror Convention in New Jersey. Some friends and I we would drive and go to a horror convention. At that point in time, Fangoria was doing one in New York in January, and I would work and save up money to be able to go to these shows. And there was a table, and there was a guy named John Denley at this table at one of the booths of the show, and he had Fright Times magazine, and it said Fright Times magazine, the magazine of the haunted attraction industry.
Nice.
And it was at that moment where I heard and realized, and it clicked, this is an industry. This is something that I could do for a living.
Yeah. And
kind of since then, I've been laser focused on making sure that I can do this for a living.
And so needless to say, come close to Halloween, you're head down grinding big time.
No. All year
long.
The season does not end. My day job is I'm the director of Dark Hour Haunted House in Plano, Texas.
Uh-huh.
It is a 50,000 square foot haunted house that is open for several shows throughout the year. We just finished with Halloween. Our last night was November 2nd, and we're already taking down that show, and we're getting ready for the Wreck the Halls show. But we do we have about 20 folks who work for us year round. We take down October, we put up the next show, we take that down, put up February, take that down, put up March, take that down. Then we do a zombie laser tag event in April. So we're slammed. Other side of that, that's my day job. The other side of that is I have Stiltbeast Studios, which makes costumes and masks and things for haunted houses all over the world. So in March is the big trade show for haunted houses, Transworld. So I have to, right now, my personal life, I'm getting ready for Transworld. I'm making my new designs. I'm doing my new sculptures and getting everything ready so that I could go and sell those in March.
Okay.
Also, right now, more and more haunted houses are opening up for the Christmas holiday season. So right now, I'm doing what's called the Krampus Lab, where people can come to my shop and make Krampus masks.
Nice.
And that's a one-day thing, because all the masks are already poured up. We just have to assemble them and paint them and hair them and horn them. But Krampuses are it's getting pretty big. No one knew what a Krampus was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But now, most people do. And, but I also make snowmen costumes, and I make evil elves. I sell elf mask 6-packs for a haunted house that wants to have elves in their show. You don't want one elf. You want 6 of them. So
Nice.
it's very much all year. I don't have an off season.
And obviously, you love it. What about burnout? Like, you love what you do, but I mean, do you get burnout sometimes, or you?
One of the beautiful things of the haunted house industry is that if I were getting burned out, then there's another aspect or another thing that I could do to work just as hard on, but it's different enough where, it feels like I really changed it up. I could focus myself on learning actor training so that I'm a more effective actor trainer, because in, July, August, and September, I'm flying all over the country to train actors at haunted houses.
Nice.
But I can focus on that and focus on improv games and focus on, vocal training and vocal coaching and really, dive into that. And it makes me better at what I do. Or I could dive into sculpting and mask making and do that for a couple, my year is really broken up into all these different seasons and things. And it's just, I love every aspect of it. But if I were to get burned out in making masks, I don't have to make masks. I could use that same energy and make how-to DVDs for actor training, for, I could pick up the YouTube channel a little bit more. I'm not as, I don't put out as many videos as I used to. I love it. I'm just too busy. But if whatever's making me busy burns me out, I can go back to videos or back to whatever.
That's awesome. So let me ask you, what do you remember? Maybe even did you keep the very first mask you ever made? And about what time? How old were you when you made your first mask?
I made my first mask in 1995. That was the same year I graduated high school. And I immediately moved to Orlando to work for Terror on Church Street, which was a year-round haunted house.
Okay.
So, I graduated in June. 15 days later, I'm working year-round as an actor for a haunt. I picked up a lot of skills there. And the first mask I ever made was to sell. I knew I had started going to Trans World, which was it's where haunted houses go shopping. And, so all those cool big animatronics and stuff that you see, it's not the ones from Spirit. It's, it's a step
high-end stuff. Yeah,
high-end stuff. And in going there, I knew, well, I could supplement my income, and I know what actors want and need because I am one. So I made products. And so the first mask ever sculpted was a Bigfoot mask. And I made a whole Bigfoot costume. And we sold costumes at Trans World, still costume.
Did you keep one for yourself?
No. I'm not a collector. I'm a user.
Just a user.
Yeah, I don't. To me, a mask is a tool. It's that's like asking a carpenter, did you keep your first hammer? Yeah. And maybe some sentimental carpenters might, but no, I used my hammer. I used it till it died, and then I got another one, or I made another one. It's a tool.
When you were, growing up, and you realized you had a profound interest in making monsters, who did you aspire to be like or admired?
I am very weird in that I, from the age of, 10, when I did my first haunted house, I kind of knew I want to do haunted houses forever. And I knew that the movie special effects were different. So I liked movie special effects, but I've never, ever wanted to be a movie special effects artist. I'm a haunted house special effects artist. Yeah. And it's different. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. They're different because the needs are different. So yeah, I looked up to Tom Savini, but I didn't know, there was no internet, so I couldn't look up, who does haunted house stuff. So, we had some local haunted houses. And again, at that time, I didn't even know that there was an industry.
Yeah.
But I knew what I wanted to do. As a weird, dark kid, I liked Edgar Allan Poe. I loved his writing. It was nice and dark and moody. I knew about Jack Pierce, who did, Frankenstein, and then, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of that person is doing what I want to do, so that's my role model.
Yeah.
Even then, I had to kind of, I want this set of skills, and I want this set of skills. There was not a lot of stuff out there. I mean, it's similar to what Ed Edmonds said. You really had to figure it out on your own. There was one book that was a haunted house book, and it was very early on, and it was by Philip Morris, How to Haunt Your House.
Nice.
And it had in it, set up a room with 3 coffins in it, put 2 dummies in one and an actor in one who's dressed the same as the dummies. It's the simplest things like that.
Yeah.
But that was cutting edge haunt stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he put it out at one point in association with the March of Dimes, who did all those haunted houses. And kind of as a manual for them. And I know that book, and that was a really cool book once I, found that and got a hold of that.
Nice.
And there's some old, kids monster makeup books, which was really bad ways to make a Frankenstein monster makeup, or Dracula, or Wolfman, and I loved those.
Yeah. So what would you say is do you have a favorite? Because you are just, one thing I noticed about you is you are very majorly diverse. There's some people that, okay, I make masks. This person, I make props. I make, life-size 1/1 scale, mannequins. You do everything.
Yes. I guess because I started haunting first, I make things to be a better haunter. If you're going to be a haunted house person, and you're going to own and run a haunted house, what that really means is you have to be an electrician, you have to be a carpenter, you have to be a plumber, you have to be a special effects artist, you have to be a house painter. There's all these different things that you have to do. So it was already known to me because, at 12, I'm out there framing for haunted houses, for seasonal setup haunted houses, and I'm putting walls together, and I had to learn those skills. And so molding and sculpting, that's just another skill. It's something else I had to learn. I want to build a crypt. Okay, I better learn how to carve foam so I can do the stones. I would like a ghoul in it. I'd better learn how to sculpt to make a ghoul mask. I'd better learn how to sew to make his tattered robe. I had better learn flow to make sure that the customers come in one way and out the other, and interact with the ghoul in at the right time.
Yeah.
And all those are just things that you had to know.
That's very interesting. It's really interesting. But is there something that's your favorite thing to do, like maybe making masks, sculpting?
Probably making masks. Making masks because I don't know if it was depression or what it was, but as a kid, it was very comforting to know that I could put on another face and be something else. Looking back, it's pretty weird, and it could be indicative of a problem or whatever, but being able to make a mask, I have a monster in my head, no one else has ever seen it, and I can make it, and then I can put it in a haunted house, and then everybody sees the monster from inside my head. That's the coolest thing in the world to me.
That is cool. That's a very interesting way of looking at that too. It's very cool. You're sharing your corruption, if you will.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
that's cool. I like that. Um, I wanted to talk to you about Monster Camp.
Yeah.
Now, from what I read, now, and feel free to stop me because I have to run this by you because I found it hard to believe. So I might have misunderstood. So stop me and correct me.
hmm
But, um, but everything, it's the class is full this year, right?
Well, there's normally 2 or 3 monster camps throughout the year. The next one I have is in January, and by the time this gets out, I have no doubt that'll be 100% chock full. And the
Okay.
next one that I have will be in, I believe it's June.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, spring. It'll be in spring is when it'll be.
Yeah. So you hold 3 a year typically.
Yeah. Yes.
3 a year. Okay. So Monster Camp.
hmm
Um, people fly to your neck of the woods, Texas,
Yep.
and of course they have to pay for their own accommodations and their hotel and air and flights and everything, but they go there. But for only $450, is that correct?
Yes, that's how much Monster Camp costs.
They're gonna spend 3 whole days with you,
Yes.
where they have your undivided attention for 3 days,
Yes.
and you show them start to finish how to make a mask.
I don't show them; they do it.
They do it.
They do it. Yeah. I show them and they do it. Friday, kind of as early as they can get there. It's from pretty much 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it actually starts a little earlier than that, but they're sculpting. They're sculpting whatever mask it is that they're going to make. And beforehand, I have them look up some visual references and decide what they want to make. The most wasted time an artist can have is in decision making.
Uh-huh.
That eats up, and then you second guess yourself, and I don't have time for that. I need you to know what you're going to make, or when you get here, I'll tell you what you're making. Because and then Saturday morning, we start at 8 or 9 or whatever. We go till noon, and they finish their sculpture, because it's amazing what happens in your head. You go to sleep, and then when you come back, you see it in a whole new light. So it's very important to have, some sculpting time that next day to refine and polish and finish out. And then at noon, we'll break for lunch. Then we come back and we mold them. We make the molds. And then when the molds are made, we clean them out. We clean all the clay out, and then we fill them with latex that night. So by, 7 or 8 p.m. that next day on Saturday, we have latex sitting in a mold that they made. And then pour them all out and then set them up with fans. So when they come back the next morning, their mask is dry and ready to pull out of the mold. Pull it out of the mold. It's their mask. That's one of the sacred moments of Monster Camp, because there's all these molds, but you can't see a mask, from the inside. And then they pull it out of the mold, and they have a mask, and that's really cool to watch people light up at their first mask. But then we trim it, we cut the eye holes out and everything, and we paint it, we hair it, and we get it done on that Sunday. And then they have a mask that they made. They keep the bust, they keep the sculpting tools. We give them an apron, and they keep their mold, obviously.
Okay, so wait. For $450, they're going to spend 3 full days. They're not going to have to pay for any materials,
And we feed them.
you can't beat that. And they're going to leave with a mask that they created.
And I offer this to everybody who does Monster Camp. On Monday, we all meet at Dark Hour Haunted House, and I give them a backstage tour of Dark Hour Haunted House.
Wow. So it must fill up really, really quick.
They do. I try to keep about 8 slots per class, because if I have more than that, you won't things could go off the rails. I've got to be able to come to you about every 20 minutes and make sure, and some people want me by their side every moment. And I've had people come to Monster Camp and be like, am I screwing this up? Great, get out of here. Okay. And then they only need me for a couple things, but mostly they want to do it on their own. But it's all kinds. But yeah.
I would think that would be a good thing because you mentioned there's the people that want you right there next to them, which sounds like a confidence issue. So it sounds like it's also a good program to build confidence as well.
Absolutely. There's something about, yes, you can display things at Halloween. Anybody can. I bought this and I displayed it. Think about people who then make their foam tombstones. They make those and they're like, there's a point of pride there. But then when there's a figure and you made his face, that's kind of the ultimate.
Yeah.
A mason can make a building, but only like a god can make a living creature. So if you make, it's a kind of a step up if you make monsters' faces and hands and stuff.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. So I mean, I think you got me sold. I might have to try to squeeze in one of these days. I've never done it before, and now it's definitely appealing. So especially that deal, you can't beat the price for what you're getting.
Well, and you get the bust, and then all you've got to buy is your own clay and latex to make masks down the road, and what I kind of designed it for was haunted houses. If there's one thing that I don't like, and this was when I was younger, if I jumped out at someone and the guest said, "I've got that mask."
Yeah.
Oh, like what a stab in the heart, And being able to make your own stuff, it's what sets you apart. A good haunted house is a reflection on its owner. When I go through Netherworld, I can tell what's important to Ben Armstrong, who is one of the designers at Netherworld, one of the owners. When I go through the Darkness in St. Louis, I can tell what's important to Larry Kirshner. When I go through Hell's Gate in the Chicago area, I know what's important to John LaFlamboy. And being able to make your own stuff is one more way that you can express and put who you are, into your show.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. I have to ask, is there anything that you want to promote, plug?
Keep an eye on my website, Stiltbeast Studios. Monster Camp will go on there. Krampus Lab is just about sold out now, but it's the next one that I'm doing. That's a one-day thing where the masks are already poured up, but there's so many variations. So people are coming to make a Krampus mask where they pick the horns. I mean, I've got all these horns for them to choose from, and all these different heads to choose from, and heads, horn, hair, and then we paint it, and it's at that point it's kind of their creation too. They didn't get to sculpt it, but they did. They got to paint it, they got to put the horns on it. But keep checking the website, because the website has all that. If you want to follow Stiltbeast Studios on Facebook, we're pretty easy to find, and all of the monster camps and things will be announced there, as well as normally where I'm going to be teaching next and that kind of thing.
Awesome. One last thing before we part. What kind of advice would you give this young person there that's watching this and thinking, I would like to try to do this? What kind of advice would you give somebody who's wanting to start out?
I have a bit of advice, and it might sound negative at first. And one thing that I say a lot is, 90% of professional haunting is sweeping. You're cleaning something up, because what we do makes a mess. Whether it's working in the shop, whether it's customers come through and they trash all your stuff made out of foam, and you got to, they track the things from one set into another set. There's a lot of cleanup in what we do. How long does it take people to go through a haunted house, and how long does it take to take one down and pack it away?
Yeah.
And there's two aspects to any excellent hobby. And there has to be a social aspect. And with this, that is actually scaring the people. That's your social payoff. And then there's making all the stuff to make that happen. Every good hobby has this. Whether it's bass fishing, you might go to tournaments and do it, or go, but then you're out there fishing, alone. That's the single part of it. Every hobby has that. But sweeping, what's great about it is it doesn't take all of your brain power. So even while you're doing something associated with what we do, here's your broom. Congrats, you're a professional hunter now. That's not where your brain is. Your brain doesn't stay sweeping. Yeah. Your brain is thinking of, how do I make the next thing? How do I make haunted houses better, easier, cheaper? Whatever aspect it is. So no matter what you're doing, keep your brain free to work on other stuff.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, it's been an honor talking to you, and I don't know, like down the road, maybe would you mind we check in on you again?
No, not at all. Absolutely. Maybe I'll be home. Right now, This weekend is the Legendary Haunt Tour, where we're actually going to end up touring Netherworld. So I'm in Atlanta, and tomorrow night Netherworld will be open. It's Arx Mortis tonight is open, and we'll be doing haunted house tours, where if you have the time and the availability, we don't get to see other people's shows normally. So Transworld started the Legendary Haunt Tours, like the first week in November or so, and it travels all around the country hitting different shows.
Nice. Yeah, but we'll definitely like to catch you at home, maybe in the shop.
Absolutely. I do live videos in the shop all the time, so it'd be great to have you.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna provide all the links down in the description. Everyone needs to go and check out your stuff and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because it's super informative, and I found it's very comprehensive. It's in layman's terms. Even I can do it. So.
Well, it was meant to be a library for things that you might need to know. It's a video library of everything you might want to know about haunted houses. How do I dry brush? How do I, all kinds of things. How do I make LED lights? All of that.
Yeah, nice. I noticed one where you took a regular old haunted Halloween plushy decoration with the little motor skills in it, and I know you're rigging it with was it like a garage door sensor or something?
It's a warning sensor. Like, so if something breaks, it hits the motion sensor, it makes a ding somewhere else. But then you can put a sensor out, and that little thing, you can change how it looks, by putting different hair on it, eyes, teeth, whatever. And then, it moves when the person hits a motion sensor. And that's a cool little thing for a haunted house to have. And it's all stuff that you can just buy from the store.
What gets me is that you had to have sat there, taking this one thing, and then saying, what could I do with it? And then taking this other thing and combining them and creating a whole new thing with it. You, sir, are a mad scientist.
I will wear that title proudly. Thank you, sir.
Yes. And with that, I think, I appreciate it. And I hope we can talk again.
No problem. Thank you, weird kid.
Now you can probably understand why I consider Alan Hops a real-life mad scientist. The guy, he makes props, he sculpts, he creates, he does it all, and it's done 365 days a year. The man is tireless. It seems that the weird kid is following a breadcrumb trail. When I first interviewed Ed Edmonds, he led me to Alan Hops. Alan Hops has led me to, you're gonna have to stay tuned to find out. So please, like, subscribe, Down in the description, I'm going to give you links to all of Alan's pages, his YouTube channel, his website. I encourage you to please go check it out. If you want to make your own monsters too, there is a whole catalog of how-to videos where you too can create your own monsters. And so, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. Thank you. Peace.